Hi, I'm dead.
Yep.
We're all dead because coronavirus.
Happy end of the world, everybody.
Hooray!
Everything's cancelled. The NBA's cancelled.
The Formula 1 might be cancelled.
The hockey's cancelled. E3's cancelled.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's sad.
Most international travel to the United States is cancelled.
Hooray! The end of the world!
But the Prime Minister still wants the footy on. A previous podcast was cancelled due to a localised quarantine. It feels like the opening of Dawn of the Dead when it's just news footage played over that Johnny Cash song about the end of the world.
Yeah.
Oh, we should have that.
Anyway, welcome to Animating 3.
I think you say welcome to the apocalypse.
Well, both, I guess. We are an animation podcast where three people analyse an animated film or series from an animator's perspective.
Can I add one more?
Yeah.
Tom Hanks is cancelled.
Oh yeah, he's in Australia!
Australia killed Tom Hanks. I'm so sorry.
Oh, he's like the best guy. Anyway.
We'll have a Tom Hanks memorial episode.
You know what?
Nah, he'll probably be fine. He's not that old. I think everyone's just more scared about the general shortage of supplies.
Like toilet paper.
And the untold amount of death. Nah, just keep buying toilet paper, everyone. You're making it really easy for everybody.
We should probably get on to
The toilet paper shouldn't be a problem.
I know!
It's a man-made problem within a larger problem. I'll tell you what's annoying, is that everyone's like, the world's ending, let's stock up on toilet paper. And then when there's no toilet paper, the people that bought the toilet paper are like, see, you should have bought the toilet paper. But you did this! It wasn't a problem before! And I don't know.
Let's go on to our proper topic.
Fantasia 2000!
No, just Fantasia.
Not even the right one.
Oh no, we watched the wrong Fantasia.
But before we get into it, I just want to say, if you want to look at the time codes below to check out any of the segments of the show, if you want to skip to anything, and yeah, I think that's how you say it.
That being said, all the segments other than the main topic have been cancelled because coronavirus.
This podcast is cancelled. Good night. The end.
Okay, so we're doing 1940s Fantasia. Yay.
Stefan, why do you sound so lively today?
I'm so
Did you
lively.
enjoy the film?
I enjoy, yep. Okay, so Fantasia is Disney's third animated feature film released in 1940. It shared many directors, with its overall story direction done by Joe Grant and Dick Humer.
Do you say third feature?
Third
Whoa, okay.
So it was
Snow White,
Pinocchio, and this.
Okay,
So it's
that's
pretty ambitious
Yeah, that's
thing
really
to do.
ambitious.
I know, it's almost insane that they did this.
Fantasia was an extremely experimental feature of the time, presenting visuals set to music with various methods and aesthetic directions. Some of the film's segments aiming to tell a cohesive story, whereas others uses its visuals to explore the mood and dynamics of the musical score. So with music conducted by Leopold Stokowski and performed by the Philadelphia Orchestra.
Wow, the Philadelphia Orchestra.
They're cheese and they sing some stuff. Anyhow,
Wow.
Stefan, how much did you love the movie? Why did you pick it?
So, production on Fantasia began as a deluxe short of The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which remains as one of the segments of the current film. So, the short sought to expand the concept that had previously been done in Disney's with the Silly Symphony series, which was basically like their version of Merry Melodies.
Silly Symphonies was less silly and more just like atmospheric and sad.
Yeah, really, Silly Symphony should have been Merry Melodies, and Merry Melodies
It should have been Silly Symphonies. Exactly.
Well, I don't think they would have traded IP, just saying.
No. But this one Sorcerer's Apprentice really tried to make the music heighten the fantasy elements, and every beat was meant to encompass the movement. So it was meant to be that really weird, vivid experience that we end up getting in Fantasia.
There should have been more...
Especially the beginning as well.
There should have been more jazz. I guess I get that it's a symphony orchestra and that's the entire point.
Also, does jazz really go with fantasy?
Nah.
Well, no, yeah, because it's meant to convey like elegance and animation and...
Yeah, and epic as well.
Yeah.
So the concept of this short turned to shift into like a full-on concert with visuals, as the budget for the initial short went way over estimations. So what Walt Disney ended up doing, he actually just wanted Sorcerer's Apprentice to be like a new resurgence of Mickey Mouse, because Mickey Mouse had dipped in popularity a bit because a little thing called World War II happened.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wait,
think
why?
so?
Why did Mickey Mouse?
He just wasn't getting a lot of popularity due to events and whatnot.
Oh wow! So all the Reeses go towards the war. Hey, I'm jealous of all that attention to the war.
World War II
Let's make a thing so everyone pays attention to me instead of current events.
Do you think World War II probably caused a huge dip in sales for the beer World War II?
Yeah, the beer World War II did not sell well after World War
It's
II.
really weird they named the beer World War II after World War One as well.
Yeah. Hindenburg beer took a hit when that happened.
And don't even get me started on Titanic beer.
Cuban Missile Crisis beer.
And the Berlin Wall beer as well.
Up or down?
Either one.
Did sales go up or down when it went up?
It would have gone down when it went up and up when it went down.
So the film Fantasia received vastly positive critical acclaim at initial release, with many sources stating it to be a landmark in cinema.
Stefan.
Both courageous and a masterpiece of its time.
Stefan, were they saucers or sorcerers?
Ah, yeah, they were sorcerers. To this day, the film has been highly regarded for its visual spectacle and has been praised as one of Disney's most ambitious and highly experimental adventures, not only of the 40s, but just overall.
I would definitely agree.
Unfortunately, the film didn't make back its cost due mainly to World War II, again, the beer. Though, of course, it would eventually turn a profit in its later years. And especially in the 60s, what it did was it had a psychedelic...
I was going to say,
Yeah,
was it boosted by the psychedelia
Yeah.
subculture? Because that's the whole reason why Doctor Strange is popular as well.
Is it?
Because of all you acid-dropping hippies.
But there's only like one 20-minute... Not even... There's only
I mean
20
the
minutes
comics, I
of...
mean like the art.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you meant the movie.
No, I didn't. No, the 2016 movie Doctor Strange was not popular in the 1960s.
Okay, so the segments of the film are I'm just dividing it into their musical stores. So it's strange because this film has no opening credits. It starts entirely like a concert.
No, yeah, it opens with
Yeah.
an overture.
And it's really funny because all the people you see who come up to the stands aren't the Philadelphia Orchestra.
I was going to ask if they were
So they are actually
They're
actors.
animators.
Was that Leopold,
Oh,
though?
okay.
Yeah, no, the master of ceremonies was, I forgot who the master of ceremonies was, but the person
John
who was
Williams.
the silhouette, yeah, that was Leopold
MC
Stokowski.
Hammer?
Yes, he came to the 1940s, apparently, because he was just so drugged up.
So drugs can make you go back in time?
Yeah, sure. How do you think they did in Back to the Future? They just put drugs in the car.
It all makes sense
The whole
now.
thing was an acid trip.
Yeah.
So the flux capacitor is really just like this...
It's just fancy lights that you stare at when you're like stoned.
Wow. So it turns out time travel was really in us all along.
It turns out drugs were the real DeLorean flux capacitor the whole time.
So the first segment is the Toccata and Fugue in D minor.
Are we going to go through all of the
Oh,
segments?
just brief.
There's like 104.
No, there's about 8.
I have a bit more than 8 on my phone, but yeah.
So with visuals inspired primarily by the work of abstract artist Oscar Fischinger. Yep, that's his name. However,
You hear that, Oscar? That's your name now.
so the studio got him to work on the abstract storyboards, and I've seen them. They're really beautiful, but they're very abstract. And so Disney said, "Look,
Rein it in.
put this back a
Yeah,
bit." So what they ended
the
up,
final product is more kind of swirly and romantic.
Yeah.
And
I really like that,
yes,
though.
and more representational. So when
more
they have
poetic.
the abstract objects, they look like bows. They
Yeah.
have clouds. They have warping landscapes. Things that make it look like it's grounded in something you can kind of understand.
And it's completely sensory. There's musical elements and iconography in there, and
Yeah.
representations of like notes and instrument strings. And...
You should, but his initial Oscar Fischinger's initial storyboard for it was very abstract, like very much so focusing on shapes and line. Like the one that they do in Fantasia at the moment does have that, but not to that kind of. It doesn't have the Picasso kind of abstraction. Like this is like a work of art. The initial ones, the one they did now is kind of forgettable in the sense that
What do you mean by the one they did now? Fantasia 2000?
no,
20
the one that was kept in the movie. Like the initial
okay.
storyboards for it were a lot more. I think would have held up a lot better than what this does.
Okay.
Now because they did reel it back as opposed to going full abstractation.
Yeah, with
Yep.
the-
Next one is the Nutcracker Suite. So basically, instead of taking the representational form of the Nutcracker story, which is of course the Christmas thing they play, Christmas, that stuff. Yep.
Nutcracker.
From the famous ballet, The film uses different dances to capture the atmosphere of each sequence, performed by like mushrooms, fairies, fish, and flowers. And the atmosphere of the entire sequence tries to give an idea of like shifting seasons.
It's good.
So you've got like the fairies dropping the drops
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
leaves.
It's no Barbie and the Nutcracker, though.
Oh, it's definitely not. That's a great film.
Yeah, absolutely uncomparable because they're just so different, and one's obviously much, much better.
I've seen that more times than I'm willing to admit.
One.
Maybe 3.
Oh my goodness.
I would
that
have
is
to
a
say
lot.
around the same because I have a little sister.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I was going to say.
But do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know. Oh, yes, I did. I did know that. Yes, I did.
It's one of those things that you know, but you don't. Like, when someone asks you, like, if I asked you that, you'd go, you don't know. But then if I told you, you'd go like, I knew that. That ever happened to you before?
Almost all the time.
Or is this just the ramblings of a sleep-deprived madman?
No, all the time.
Like, have you ever been asked a question, and then you say the answer, and then your brain goes, wait, we don't know that. Where did that come from?
Yes.
No, my answer to everything's always no.
Oh, okay, that's probably easier.
Is your
It's a
name
lot easier.
Stefan?
No.
My dad asked me the other day, like, who's that singer that sung that wartime song
No.
with, no, that we'll meet again?
Oh, who did sing that? Did you know it?
No, but I answered correctly, and I'm not sure why.
How?
It could just be like some general knowledge that you came across.
Yeah.
Who was it though?
It's a very weird particular, it's Vera Lynn.
Oh.
I remember saying, oh, who sings that song? And I went, oh, Vera Lynn. I went, wait, I don't know that. I don't know who sings that song. And then I looked it up, like, oh, it turns out it wasn't my brain.
Good on you. 10 out of 10.
I'm the dumbest man in the world. Continue the podcast.
Okay, so the next part after the Nutcracker Suite was The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which of course is probably arguably the most famous section of the Fantasia.
Stupid Mickey.
And this was actually the first short to have the new design Mickey with the eyes.
really?
Yeah, eyes and the pear-shaped body.
I was actually wondering about that.
Yep, so
yeah,
this
cool.
was designed by Fred Moore, who wanted a more expressive Mickey for this
Fred Moore.
deluxe cartoon.
And it quite literally has not changed since then.
So, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, as you know, was based off a poem, and basically Walt Disney wanted to make that poem, but with Mickey Mouse as the character. And so that's pretty much exactly what that ended up being. And he got Stokowski to conduct the music for him. And this was as this was meant to be the short that was encompassing all of Fantasia, it's why it's the only one that has music that was made specifically for it. And why it's the one that probably is the most popular and famous simply because...
It's also weirdly the only short in it that I think is directly accessible to children.
Yes.
The rest of it is just
quite adult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but don't forget, like, animations back in this day were targeted towards children, but also adults, because adults did make a majority of the cinema sales back then.
And
But the previous films were like
still kid directed.
yeah, they were
Pinocchio and Snow White,
adaptations
they were
of fairy tales geared towards children. And it's weird for this third film to have maybe between 5 and 7 minutes specifically for children, or content that children can enjoy, and the rest of it just be like this enveloping sensory experience.
It's a
Actually,
strange...
I think kids would hate this.
Was this targeted towards children? Because
No.
I don't think... Yeah.
The thing about this film is because this is an experimental feature, it was mainly... it was trying to mix like high art with like visual sensory, as Michael said,
And audio.
overload.
And
So-
audio sensory.
Yeah, so it was...
I always liked the Chuck Jones mixing of high art and animation, which is just kind of to take the piss out of it.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's why so many iconic Chuck Jones shorts combine like operas or symphony music with slapstick.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael. I know you've mentioned Chuck Jones like a million times in this podcast, but I still don't know who he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Chuck Jones is like...
You don't not now.
Okay. We'll do a Chuck Jones shorts one day.
Okay, so when I wrote these notes following, it was 12 o'clock and I didn't care. So the righteous spring, space, volcanoes, dinosaurs. Oh no, they're dead now. So this had a lot of special
Good night, everyone. That's the end.
This had a lot of special effects animation, mainly with the bubbles. They actually used like they used bubbles, rotoscoped a lot of things, and it's really interesting to see how they even got like paint, dipped it in water, used that to get smoke. They used a lot of experimental techniques to get
Also-
the effects in this one.
My favorite part about this short was the fact that this was before they knew an asteroid hit the Earth that wiped out the dinosaurs. This is about 30 years prior, so that's why it isn't in this.
Yeah, the dinosaurs kind of just fade into like this marshy.
Yeah, they do a lot of different scenarios about how they would have died, but they didn't do an asteroid.
Bloody virus got to him.
There
Yeah,
was
I just
they
found
had
that
to cancel all the AFL matches.
from a history standpoint, I find that really interesting that it wasn't that long ago that we found out how they died.
the Ride of Spring also extensively used their multiplane camera.
Yes.
And I love how in the behind the scenes it shows their multiplane camera, and it's like nowadays it'd be like, I don't know, about a 50 centimeter thing. But
Oh,
this
it's like a whole
it's like
room,
a
yeah.
whole
Yeah.
room of just layers of stuff. It's like, yeah, that's nope.
Well, to get all that detail, it would have to.
Did
Exactly.
Disney like do a shady thing and like claim they invented that or something?
Probably.
The multiplane?
Because I feel like every documentary I see about
No,
it,
I'm pretty sure it is Thomas Edison who did it, and then he collaborated with Walt Disney or someone to extensively use it.
was Thomas Edison. I was sure Max Fleischer invented the multiplane.
Oh, it might have been. It was someone. Sorry, it
Thomas
was.
Edison did other stuff. He invented the light bulb, or not really.
I know
like
Thomas
everyone
Edison.
says.
Thomas Edison did do a lot to get film and animation started.
Yeah, he invented that chair that when you fall back on it, it stops you from falling.
So a chair? Just normal chair?
Making a reference to that Simpsons
I
episode.
know.
I didn't even get that. Feel ashamed. Yep. Next sequence was Beethoven's The Pastoral Symphony. So this is what I wrote. It's a fantasy world. Look at the centaurs. There's Zeus. Oh no, lightning bolts. Everyone's drunk. Hi, donkey. And that was it.
Oh, hi, donkey.
Oh, hi, donkey. The next section, which is probably one of my favourite segments of it, which was Dance of the Hours. There's animals and they're dancing. Wait a minute, animals don't do the dancing. This is some A-level bullshit here. Ostriches dance, alligators dance, hippos dance, and elephants. They dance too. There's certainly a lot of dancing.
Different. What did this film do to you?
So there's a lot of parody jokes here, especially with ballet. This was the one that actually felt like a Chuck Jones kind of thing, where it was embracing the fact that it was high art ballet, but also having a fun with slapstick and these animals doing these elegant dances.
Yeah.
They did a lot of rotoscoping and reference animation here, especially with the ostriches, how they do the leg warm-ups and whatnot. But yeah, so, and the idea with this one especially was, because it's called Dance of Hours, they actually make it that throughout the animation it starts in the morning and ends at night,
Yes.
which I thought was really nice. And then finally, Night on Bald Mountain and the Ave Maria. It's hell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
No, sorry. The design of this one was done mainly by Kai Nielsen, and that's why that one has a lot of like sensuous kind of surreal curvature lines everywhere. Like, surrealism has this thing of making lines that look like dips in like the female body.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of this in that. And he has a lot of Art Nouveau inspiration, which is why the devil himself in this looks like one of those gargoyle
It's like a gothic
statues.
statue. Yeah.
Anyhow, but that is literal hell. That's probably what hell is. It's also a boss in Kingdom Hearts 1, and it was the coolest boss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you fly around him, and he's like, I'm gonna throw demons at you. And Sora's like, no, my friends are my power, hit with a Keyblade.
Do they team up with like Leopolds and you...
Yeah,
stab him with your
Leopold's just at the
conductor
background,
stick?
he's just throwing sticks at you.
Okay, so the multiplane camera, not Thomas Edison, sorry. So apparently the first one was invented by Ube Works. What's
Max
that guy?
Fleischer?
What?
I just read his name. Ube
Ooga Magooga?
Ube Iwerks. He was
Famous Paleolithic
No.
actor Unga Magunga.
no Ube Iwerks, who was the original creator of Mickey Mouse.
Oh.
That guy.
Oh, that Oswald the Rabbit dude?
Yeah,
Oh.
but apparently it was also separately developed at a similar time by Fleischer Studios as well.
Oh, so it was
Okay.
independently. It's like how... Isn't there like an urban legend about how Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone like 7 minutes before a competitor did?
Yeah, something like
or
that.
something like that?
7
Yeah.
minutes.
Wasn't that the light bulb?
Can you imagine being that second guy, being like, at last, I invented the telephone, and then it rings?
Like, screw you, bitch.
As soon as it rings, it's, oh, bloody hell.
No, it rings, they pick it up. Hey, you'll never guess what
You
I
never
invented.
guess what I invented! Wait a minute, who is this?
That's all that. What do you think of Fantasia?
I loved it. I thought it was really good. It's just that, again, it's almost like a spiritual, textual, sensory experience. That's all it is. I admire its, I don't know, just the sheer, like, risk of it.
Yeah.
For your third feature film for an established, like, family-friendly studio to be this strange auteur masterpiece of, like, musical symphony and animation is kind of crazy.
Yeah, so last episode we talked about how, Disney should try to like do a compilation of shorts into one movie, like with
More
Studio
anthologies, please.
Yeah, and I feel like having watched Fantasia, they should definitely do something like this again because like it is very ambitious and as you said, there is a lot of risk towards it, as Michael said. But like from an animator's perspective, seeing stuff like this in cinemas would be absolutely fantastic because there's just so much creativity involved with it from a musical standpoint, from an animation standpoint, a directorial standpoint, and yeah, I would definitely want to see an updated, or not an updated, a new thing like this from Disney.
I wish Disney would just scrap, like, one Marvel project that costs, like, $300 million and just finance 300 small animation projects. Just to see what would happen. I think you'd come up with something really unique.
Or one of
Just rub one of them off the enormous
or even one of
board
the remakes as well.
Or like, that Call of the Wild film that nobody saw with the CGI dog.
I don't think that was Disney.
Oh, was that Disney? I don't know.
The problem is, though,
Maybe
that
it was.
Fantasia, if they do something like that isn't marketed as Fantasia, you don't know if it's going to get a profit. And nowadays, Disney is concerned about
What would they
profit.
call it?
They're always concerned about
Would they
profit.
call it Fantasia 3000?
Oh, we're gonna have to wait a millennia for it. Fantasia, like 2022, doesn't have the same ring to it.
It's just 2000.
Again.
Fantasia, May the 3rd.
Fantasia, whatever this year it is.
I would be up for Fantasia being an anthology series on Disney Plus
Yeah, that would be really good. Well, I guess
of like symphonic shorts.
yeah, symphonic shorts would be really good because going back to last episode.
Traditionally animated symphonic shorts. I'm sick of 3D. Not sick of it, but I just want to see the scrappy, pencily, sketchy 2D animation again. I miss it.
Speaking of Fantasia, what were your thoughts on it, Stefan?
Okay, so I was just looking at the animation going like, this is breathtaking. Like, you cannot... I don't even know how they did some of the movements. Like, there's this one where it's got... we'll talk about it later, but it's got these mushrooms dancing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the way they move, it's so smooth. It's
So
so
precise.
perfect. And it's like... This is done in a time when each cell was hand-painted, frame by frame. It took 4 hours to do one single frame.
You just locked 350 people in an airing cupboard and then opened the door after 6 months and see what they had.
But what astounds me, as well as the fact that everything matches the music perfectly, and how it's got these vivid emotions that you don't really get from other films, because this is all just atmosphere and mood and whatnot, is that it's also one of the most textural Disney films I've ever seen. Like, you can see the brush strokes, you can see all these textures they've animated, and usually you don't animate with texture because it takes too freaking long and no one wants to do that. And they no, we're going to have this whole part where we've got this grainy brush animating and we'll do that, and these fairies have to have this luminous light. And it's like everything feels so handcrafted.
You made that sound like quick before Mr. Disney comes back.
What's this? This is an entrepreneurship I see here.
One of
I'm gonna
the
beat you with my cigar box.
And my upraised eyebrows. Don't make me eyebrow you.
my only complaint was that it took 7 minutes and 40 seconds for the animation to start.
That was a problem. Yeah.
Because I literally as soon as it started to hit the animation, I just pressed pause and wrote down the time of it. Because it was just 5 minutes of people preparing their instruments, and now we found out they're not even the actual orchestra preparing their instruments.
You get it. It's an overture.
It's
and
animated
They go
looking-
for a while they tune and warm up, but it's not a live orchestra.
No.
But Michael, these are animators. They're probably looking at the violin going, what the hell is this?
Mr. Disney wants it 2 hours and 10 minutes long. Quick, get 35 minutes of orchestra footage.
No, I was just going to say, but that act structure, I think it works for it having those live action segments because it does make it seem like a high art kind of thing.
It does. It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
That's all. It could have just been a bit shorter.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that cinema in this time was like a theatre. It was a theatre, so you went in and you'd see this whole thing. And this
It was a whole experience, and it was actually a proper event rather than just, let's just go to the cinema to watch the latest movie out.
right on that. Fantasia was initially a roadshow.
Yeah.
So it'd go from place to place with this whole thing. So it was almost like it was a concert, like they do nowadays, where they have like a Studio Ghibli concert and you have the movie in the background. Except this is the time when they couldn't do that, and so they used it through film. We'll just go through the segments and say what we liked about it and animation-wise. So the Toccata and the Fugue, so the first part, with the shapes and a lot of the live action at the start. Anyone got anything to say about that part?
I think it was a weird way to introduce it, but also I really appreciated how they did it.
I think it's a touch too long. It's my only...
I think so too, but I think it was a way to try and set the mood and try and bring you into this world in which the orchestra and the visuals are meant to be one.
That's why I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, you really have to sit down and just kind of let it wash over you. It's like how I remember watching 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time, and there's this bit when towards the end.
Whereas 20
Spoilers
minutes
for a 50-year-old film. 20 minutes of psychedelic imagery and flashing lights. And the first kind of like 2 or 3 minutes of it, you're like, this is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And you just kind of let that experience kind of just envelop you and you just immerse yourself in it. And then 15 minutes later, you're like, is he going to be done going through the Stargate? I want to see what's on the other side. Turns out it's an old man in a hotel room.
Yep. And isn't the what is it called? The obelisk there? The monolith?
Yeah, the monolith is an instigator of evolution, basically.
Yeah, but isn't it in the room with the old man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, monolith, don't let me die. And the monolith's like, no, I'm going to turn you into a baby in space. And then he takes all the nuclear weapons out of the world.
Wow, that monolith is a real character, that one.
That's one of those like really surreal films where you read the book and you're just like, oh, that's what happened. Siri, tell me who wrote the novel 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's got to be Arthur C. Clarke.
I found this on the web.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I was going to say Arthur.
Just the aardvark?
The aardvark?
Yeah.
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet is a weird space fetus in the sky.
Okay, let's go on.
And I say, hey!
Hey!
What a wonderful rainbow tunnel. It flashes for
We found
8
a
minutes.
rock on the moon.
And now I'm a baby in
now I'm
space. I just wanted to say that the thing that always astounds me about this first part is that they use a lot of 3D shapes, bending and warping. But this is the time when that's all 2D. And the fact that they can make those shapes so consistently move. Like, I know that 2D animators, it's all they do. But it's ridiculous how smooth it is. And this is also one of the first times that Disney did abstract shape animation as opposed to character animation.
Yes, I was especially impressed by the violins that flash through and like the perspective of those just going past. That was really impressive because it just did look like exactly on point with the model of an actual violin.
The surreal perspective shifts reminded me weirdly of Yellow Submarine.
Yes, I was actually thinking while watching this, so this is Disney's Yellow Submarine.
Basically, yeah. Well, Yellow Submarine was the same kind of thing. It was just a psychedelic, like, colourful, not symphonic, but like pop experience. It was
symphonic it was a musical experience.
It's
like
kind of
this.
interesting because there's a similar idea behind both of them. They're just representative of two very different eras in animation.
So we'll go on to the Nutcracker set. I actually really like the Nutcracker set.
I thought the fairy animation and like combined with the mats was super impressive.
I also really liked transitions in this. Like, in this Nutcracker, it goes from dance to dance, but it feels like one story of dance. Like, you can close your eyes for a minute and then you open them and it's a completely different dance, but it all feels like it's the one thing, which is what music is generally. But to see that presented visually and with these characters who presented in such a unique and unseen way before it's nice.
Yeah.
We have a segment, because Mats are great, we have a segment called Michael's Matt Opinion.
Opinion. Yep, Mike.
I couldn't think of another word that meant opinion or segment that started with an M.
So, Michael, what's your opinion?
Good Mats. This concludes Michael's Matt opinion.
But no, I think, just like the integration between the animated elements and the mats was really well done here, especially when like the fairies went onto a tree and you hardly noticed the transition of like a mat and something that was going to move. Because usually, like, say in a game or something where you have, there's a wall, which part am I meant to break? And it's really obvious.
It's the one with the enormous crack in it.
Yes, or a very different color to the rest of the wall. But with this, it was like very seamless between the two. And yeah, as you said before, the mushroom dance as well. fantastic.
Perfect. You just look at it and go, how the heck did they even do this?
Like,
You really believe a mustache, a
mushroom.
mushroom could dance?
It's like the weight behind it as well was like so believable.
how it tops, how the head is almost overbalancing it the entire time, and they shuffle with their little stems. It's kind of adorable. But also how the leaves dance.
Yeah, I was just about to mention the leaves. Oh my god.
So they're basically autumn leaves that are across like a lake, and they kind of dance like ballerinas. I think ballerinas.
Yeah, but like just them falling through the air as well. Just like that animation, like with all the turns and like how it moved through the wind, was so realistic. And I was just like, how? How would they be able to do this? There's like almost no studio today that would want to do that. Because they would just go, oh, let's just do a 3D leaf and just make it look 2D. Because we can't be bothered doing that. But no, they did it. And this is the 40s when they had the limited technology back then as well.
I think the Nutcracker suite in this is definitely the prettiest one in terms of what it can do with its visuals. And like, it's just a nice one to watch.
I think this was my favourite as well.
I'd say it's one of my favourites too. It's
I
definitely...
think I still like the finale the best.
Oh, yeah, Hell's good.
No, I like the bit when the orchestra just said, we're done now, bye.
Bugger off.
Bugger off.
Oh, that's the part.
We've got to isolate ourselves.
Much to say
Because of
about
the virus.
much to say about the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I loved the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Everybody does.
It's great. It's just a really quintessential Mickey Mouse cartoon.
I just feel that his character design just juxtaposes a lot of the other designs in the rest of the film.
Oh,
I think
it's
he's meant to look kind of out of place.
But yeah, that kind of works. I think it.
Oh, wait, sorry, did you mean the rest of the film or the scenery?
Film.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, well, it's an incongruous short. The entire
Yeah, I
short
know.
is in and of itself.
But
yeah.
like the rest of it is very cohesive and within it's like each other's world.
Well,
would say.
I remember this was... Didn't you used to say earlier that this wasn't initially developed as
That is
part
true,
of...
yeah.
That's why.
Yeah,
It
this
wasn't-
was meant to be the entire thing. They only made it into a feature length when budget for the Sorcerer's Apprentice went way over.
They had this cute little slapstick cartoon
Yeah.
and they built this symphony experience around
But yeah,
it.
just watching it, just transitioning from the spring one to this, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, because it feels very conventional. This feels like it would have played before a newsreel
Yeah.
or something.
And that's what they did. They did use it for ads afterwards.
Oh, they did?
Which is
Okay.
why it also got more popularity
Yeah.
as the years went on.
But yeah, Sorcerer's Apprentice though, really good, great water animation. So this was after Pinocchio, you said, right?
Before water was invented.
Yeah.
No, this was after Pinocchio.
Water was invented for the war to
Yeah.
help keep the soldiers hydrated.
That's why it's called water.
Water.
Oh my god, we just cracked the code!
Oh, we're so good. We're so good at podcasts.
The water animation in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, it just took me right back to Pinocchio, watching it on VHS when I was 8 years old, and like that nostalgia just from the water animation alone. And it was
Gave
like,
you flashbacks to the war.
yeah, the water war.
Yeah.
No, but I get what you mean. Disney 1940s water animation has so much character.
It does.
It kind of
looks sick.
slushes up
Yeah,
with
yeah.
such like power. It's always quite
Looks like
ferocious
sediment,
in
like
Disney.
It is.
Like it's
yeah.
sludgy, like
Yeah.
sump oil, like it's... Especially like any scenes with Monstro and...
Yeah, it's just very distinct how the water acts, and I'm
almost
really
like
glad
oil.
I'm really glad they brought it over to Fantasia.
Something that Sorcerer's Apprentice always sticks with me is how it does contrast with light and dark. Like especially when Yen Sid, spoiler alert, it's Disney spelt backwards, Yen Sid. And when he comes into the room to stop the water and he parts the seas, there's like this bright white behind him.
Yes.
And it really catches like that.
How the hell did I do that?
But it has this unease that it captures really beautifully.
Also, something that I thought looked very modern was when the sticks were forming back together and they were all in the room, and it was like the yellow background with the black silhouettes.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really sleek and modern looking. I was like,
Quentin
okay.
Tarantino
Yeah.
kind of thing.
For some
yeah.
reason, it feels like a lot of the sequences in this film are quite timeless. Like, you can watch this and it doesn't... Besides, like, some of the racial things which were taken out of the cut we saw...
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah, there was one where there was, like, a black-skinned centaur being a servant to one of the white maidens.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I've seen images of that.
I have
I'm sure
not
it's on
seen
YouTube
that. Okay.
somewhere.
Yeah, but that's...
What do you feel about self-censorship like that? Stephen? Ben?
They own it. I can see why.
Yeah.
Like, for an international streaming service, I can see why. But if you want to preserve it,
I feel like
That's
it-
exactly what they said.
They should still have.
Historical archives.
Yeah, a
Oh,
historical
so
archive of.
I feel like it should be available.
Yes.
Is it?
No.
I reckon. No, I think if you have like one of the old VHSs or maybe even old DVDs of it, it might. No.
They got rid of it.
When did they get rid of it?
Like in the 60s.
Oh,
they
okay.
even said that they don't even understand why this was put in to begin with.
I think it's important to learn from it, though.
Yes.
I think that's why it should be preserved.
That's why
Also,
we should all watch Song of the South.
Song of the South should be the premiere. That should be called the Song of the South streaming service.
I'm actually surprised that they censored themselves in the 60s. To me, that seems
During
like...
the Civil Rights Movement.
I know, but like to me, I just didn't think
You'd be
they
surprised the
would.
amount of mainstream media that was very pro civil rights back then. You'd expect it to be like that kind of racism, which I'm not want to speak about it. I'm gonna stumble over it too much.
Let's just move on.
I'm talking about an episode of Bewitched when they talk about racism and they're like, doesn't matter what you look like, and I'm like, you go, Samantha.
I just want to keep that in. What was that? So we'll do this quick. Rite of Spring, dinosaurs. What do you think?
I loved this as well. It was my second favorite, but like this pan through space going towards Earth, like with the multiplane camera, I thought that was really, really well done for the 40s especially. And I loved just all like a lot of it was just Earth landscapes erupting and moving around and all that, especially the first half of it. And I thought all that animation was really well done, and it synced with the music really well.
The colours and texture of the volcanoes is astounding in it.
Yeah, especially, and like the syncing with the music, especially when they're all burst. I thought that was like really, really epic looking.
And the dinosaurs themselves
Ah,
are
so
phenomenal.
good.
Like but it also looks like there's a sort of character that, again, this is the first time Disney animated dinosaurs, and it's kind of scary looking at every single one. Like they're kind of really terrifying, and it really captures how monstrous the T-Rex looks.
Yeah.
But honestly, you really liked it. I thought this was a really hard watch. Like it's
Really?
just like, look at the world, look at all the death, look at the dinosaurs, look at them die slowly.
As someone who's fascinated by like the passage of time and how things change, I really, really like this.
It does do that, and it also is the longest section in
Yes,
Fantasia.
it is. And some of the music as well from this segment reminds me of music I played in my concert band in high school.
Okay.
Music.
Any thoughts on the dinosaurs, Michael?
Nah.
Nah.
I liked it. It's good. I didn't know what to feel the entire time.
Me neither.
It's like, is this whimsical or sad? Oh, they're all dead. Okay, next segment.
I guess we'll have a break now, as they said. So Beethoven's The Pastoral Symphony. This was the...
Wait, after the thing there was a intermission, and we actually had to wait 15
It was
minutes.
the Monty Python intermission.
I wish it was the Monty Python. Just colours.
I was actually waiting for Disney Plus to actually have an intermission for 15 minutes or so.
But they didn't. They cut it at about 2.
There was
Is
only
the
like
original
a
cut-
10-second intermission.
Is there
in
in the
Disney
original
Plus.
cut? Is there an intermission?
Yes. Well, it was a cinema. So
Yeah.
yes.
I guess we don't really do intermissions in cinemas, do we?
Okay, just the Pastoral Symphony, so the fantasy world with the Greek mythology. I really like the colours. The colours
Okay.
in this was given entirely to the animator, so they
Yes, it
said,
was.
just do as many colours as you want. And they said, let's make pink unicorns
And this was
everywhere.
inspired by a story, by like a poem or story, right? And it was all this like a Greek version of this guy's story, and like all the backgrounds were inspired by farmland and all that sort of stuff.
I think so.
I'm not crazy, right? He said that. The guy said that when he was talking about the short.
Maybe.
Anyway,
You could be crazy and right.
something about this is that I don't think this will get past censors these days.
No, it wouldn't.
Because it starts off with a bunch of naked lady centaurs, and I don't think the censorship boards would allow that
And
from a
there's
G or PG rated film.
So many baby bottoms. There's baby bottoms everywhere. Boss Baby
I don't-
would have
see,
a fetch.
I don't think the baby bottoms is the problem. It's just the
There's
nude.
a baby bottom in Inside Out.
Yeah, it's just
One.
yes. But the nude torso of the women, even though like it wasn't exactly anatomically correct to a human, so I can see how they get away with it. But I just thought, oh, that's interesting.
Nowadays it
how,
wouldn't- yeah.
how that flew past back then. But then again,
It's
it was
picture just like a sweaty animator, just slimily drawing it. It's just like, it's okay if they're horses.
Why did they
But,
talk
okay.
like that?
But apart from that, which is like the first thing I thought of when I started watching it, I thought it was very pretty aesthetically. It was amazing, and all the character designs, all the horse animation, really good. Apart from one of the horse's back legs, all the horse animation
What about
was
the donkey?
spectacular.
The donkey was cute.
Yes. And
Donkey
again,
kept
Disney
drinking
doesn't have a good track
grape.
record with donkeys.
no, because they were, slaves.
Too much trauma. Too much sent to Siberian salt mines, and then the plot line is never resolved.
Oh no.
Papa, I'm a real boy. Pinocchio. Let's forget all about all those children. Maybe there's a sequel to Pinocchio, and he just storms the Siberian salt mine.
And he goes, "Let my people go."
Oh,
And then he gets shot and he goes, "Oh no, I wish I was made of wood.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I wouldn't have
bloody-
died."
It'd be real useful to be made of wood at the moment.
Dance of Hours. So this had the most caricature creatures.
This is the one I liked the least. Not
Really?
because the animation was spectacular, but from just because it was very childlike, it just didn't hit with me.
A lot of the animators who worked on this, who didn't work on this one, said this is the one they wanted to work on.
Oh yeah, from an animator's perspective, this would be the one you want to be on because there's so much great character animation from this, and so many different perspective shots, and so many turnarounds as well. It was I was so surprised in how precise it was. Oh, I'm just rambling on.
Something we haven't mentioned as well is there are so many characters in this short.
So many.
Usually in an animated thing, you wouldn't bother with background characters, especially in the 1940s. But there are 500 plus characters all throughout, and they are all meticulously animated and thought up. It's just insane how much level of detail there was put into this film, especially since this was a gamble. They didn't even know this was going to work.
When you're animating with multiple characters on screen, is each character on a separate cell?
Yes, and then you just layer the cells.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
They'll-
just
Yeah,
it's
on the
insane.
multiplayer camera, they would still be on the same cell.
Yeah, that's what I
Depending
mean,
on if they were
I mean, even
relatively
in
the same.
non-multiplane shots, because
Yeah.
multiplane is usually used for establishing or panning shots.
My favorite part of this was definitely how they did the alligator, the very thin alligator dancing with the really big hippo,
Yes.
and how they managed that weight, and how they did a little bit of slapstick where she squashes the alligator and the alligator has to spring up.
Actually, sorry. But when the alligators first showed up, I thought they were going to be bats.
Oh,
Just
really?
because of the silhouette, because they only show the silhouette first, and the crocodiles or alligators have the capes.
Yeah,
and
they kind of do
it just,
look like bats.
Yeah, and it just looked like a bat. I was like, is it going to be like a bat? Because that would be representative of the night.
They're alligators. Bat-a-gate.
But yeah, because it would have been representative of the night, so I thought that was a clever twist on what. Because I'm pretty sure it was intentional that the silhouettes were meant to look like bats. But no, they ended up being alligators and capes, and I thought that was a great twist.
This is yet another one of those episodes when there's only so many ways we can say it looks amazing. Yeah.
We'll just go with the last one then. Hell.
Hell.
What do you
A
think of
night on
Hell?
Bald Mountain.
No, it's Hell. What do
Okay.
you think of Hell?
What did I think of Hell is what Stefan asked.
Yep.
It was a bit toasty.
This was my favourite segment. I just
Yep.
liked the overtly gothic horror of it. I like the design of the gargoyle monster devil
yes.
thing. I like how kind of angular and imposing just its silhouette and its wings are.
It's really bold and dramatic, this one.
Yeah, it's
Bold or bald?
it's both, but it's almost biblical.
It is, yes.
In just scale and proportion. I thought it was just, this is the one when I thought this is the one that speaks to me in terms of just emotional resonance. It's just so imposing and so dark and gothic and angry and dominating that I thought this is just beautiful and incredible, and just so much emotion texture is emanating from the screen when you watch this.
For me, I've heard a lot about the short, but I've never seen it. And to me, it was just built up so much in my head that I found it a bit lackluster to what I was expecting.
See, I knew of this imagery. I didn't know it was from Fantasia because I'd never seen it before.
I knew it was from Fantasia, but I've just never seen any of the actual imagery apart from the design of...
I would not ever say lackluster in
No, just
terms
compared-
of Bald Mountain.
it is really great, but just compared to how it was built up to, all the reactions I've heard on it.
It's
I've never heard reactions to it.
pretty phenomenal.
I've never heard people talk about it.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, compared to what was in my head. That's all.
Oh yeah, you're expecting, but even so, people
I was
don't really
expecting
talk
it-
about Fantasia as a whole. The imagery of the Sorcerer's Apprentice is used a lot in Disney marketing, but they don't really talk about the film that much.
Yeah.
It's not revered, I feel, as much as it should be. And maybe that's because it's almost entirely inaccessible to children.
But I think they did again fix that with Fantasia 2000, which is a lot more geared towards children, while also having a lot of the prolific imagery that is in the original Fantasia.
What was the Disney film that followed this up?
It was like Dumbo.
I have it here.
It was
Bambi.
Oh, that's Disney. Like, we need the money back. We didn't make any. We lost all that money.
Speaking of Bambi, make sure to check out our YouTube channel to see our animated short Bambi in 4D.
Oh, Bambi 40. That was funny. I liked your animation there, Ben.
Thank you. We done.
That's it. If you want to contact the podcast,
do it.
do it. Bye.
No.
Well,
Okay,
final
so
thoughts. What do we think?
I think that this is definitely a great watch that every aspiring animator, even if you're a veteran animator as well, should definitely watch, because it's an experience like no other that Disney has created.
Yeah, if you're an aspiring animator, watch it, and you can harken back to a time when you were locked in a termite-filled room and not paid anything, but now you're locked in quite a nice room and not paid anything.
Because of coronavirus. The beer.
Stop drinking beer. It's not good for you.
But no, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Stefan?
It's great.
You
Okay.
should watch Fantasia. It's on Disney Plus. Get Disney Plus. Or don't. There's not much on it if you don't like children's stuff.
We're not going to be doing animation news anymore if the episode goes for too long.
Because there's no news. The world's coming to an end.
There's actually been a lot of news in these past 3 weeks, but if you want to keep up with the news, make sure to check out our Twitter at Animate3Pod. And yeah, I regularly tweet, animation trailers that come out, maybe some animation news here and there. So yeah, check that out. And if you want to contact us, we are at animate3pod@gmail.com. And we are also on Facebook and YouTube and wherever podcasts are, which you probably know if you're listening to this podcast till the very end.
I can't imagine people would be like, wait, but Ben, tell me, where can I listen to the podcast? Just shouting into their phone at the end of this.
I mean, can someone please record themselves doing that and send it to us? That would be great.
Do we get any more comments? More like YouTube scams that want like,
We got a new subscriber.
Oh, did we?
We got 21 on YouTube now.
That's pretty good.
It's not.
That's 35 more than I thought we'd get.
Is that all, guys?
Yeah, next week, Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.
The end.